and welcome to a different kind of video. I decided I wanted to switch it up a bit and start this new kind of series that's just basically me telling stories and stuff. Since I'm terrible at naming things, for the time being, it's gonna be called Storytime and such. So, welcome to the first episode of Storytime and such. This one will be about my drama club's version of The Little Mermaid Jr. Before I get started, I just want to say that you guys are going to have to deal with my terrible drawings because I find me telling a story to a camera causes me to trail off and makes me really awkward. Also, the other two plays are a lot more interesting to talk about, but I want to give you guys a base, so suck it up and wait for the other episodes. Anyways, here we go. So in grade 9, my sister told me I should join drama club because she did her last year of school and she regretted not doing it from the start. For those of you who don't know, I have pretty bad social anxiety and stage fright. I also hadn't sang for 4-ish years and never did any acting. That's a different story for a different time, just saying it as a bit of a visual for how terrified I was going into this. I knew absolutely no one in the club. Well, not really anyways. At the same time this was going on, I was doing my volunteer hours at this potluck supper / pancake breakfast thing. My school, I don't know how many other schools actually do this, but we have to have 40 hours of volunteer work in order to graduate. So I decided to get mine done in grade 9. Once again, that's another story for another time, but I will tell you that teenagers that were supposed to help me out came and went pretty fast. But that's where I met a guy named Jaden. He helped me out once, and I later found out he was in one of my classes. We're still pretty chill to this day. Also, I met my friend Luke there, whom I didn't actually start talking to him until very late grade 10. Actually, I didn't remember it was him because those volunteering things scared me so much that when he came up to me during rehearsal one day and he asked when the next potluck was, I stared at him in fear for a good few seconds, not realizing it was him. Getting back on topic, let me tell you about my first opinion of the club. I walked into our first real meeting to find a bunch of chairs set up into a circle, a bunch of people chatting with their friends, and a guy wearing a dress on top of his clothes. I have nothing against dudes wearing dresses. You do you guys. But I really didn't know what to expect after seeing that. We all took a seat in a circle, and I had to sit next to the guy with the dress because it was the only open seat. And actually, he was a pretty popular guy, so I don't know why no one else took the seat. Anyway, we played this game where we went around in a circle and everyone said their names and something about them. The next person then says everyone before them's names and whatever they said about themselves before saying their own. Basically, good luck if you're the last person because you have to remember what everyone's name is and whatever they said about themselves. It gets to the guy next to me and he's like, "My name is Ray, and you don't know what I got." And he lifts up the dress. Thank God he was wearing pants. Of course, I'm just sitting there like, what did I do to get put next to this guy? Oh my God. Not to mention he was probably a foot taller than me, and he was really scary. He's actually a pretty cool guy. He's just terrible at making first impressions. Another example of this was, "I'm Levi, like the pants." I can't remember what mine was, but I think it was something to do with video games. During that first meeting, I laughed more than I had in years. Despite the fact that it was completely scary, I enjoyed myself, even if I didn't really feel like I fit in. Hey, speaking of Levi, he was in 2 of my classes and we became friends. I remember this because when we started up auditions, I made a deal with him that I'd try out for Ariel if he did too. I still, for some reason, auditioned for the part even after Mrs. B said that guys couldn't audition for female parts. We did a read-through, and I was actually listening to the audio I took of the singing audition, and I actually kept up with it pretty well with the others, especially because they're more experienced girls. I was impressed with myself looking back on it. Of course, my personal song didn't turn out that well, but that's okay. I would play it, but it's pretty terrible quality, and I'd probably get in trouble for the music, as it is copyrighted. There's not supposed to be any recordings of any parts, so shh. I was so terrified because it was my first time performing on stage in a long time, and I felt like I needed to prove myself to the others, especially because they were so much better than me. Even listening to the recording, I was shaking. For my personal song, I did Concrete Angel, if anyone knows what that is. It's extremely depressing, and I don't know why I chose it. Also, I was so quiet because I'm just a naturally quiet person. And Mrs. B actually had to get me to step right up to the edge of the stage so she could hear me over the music. Of course, I didn't get the part, but I did get the part of Jetsam. For those of you who don't know, this is one of Ursula's little slippery eel spies. My partner in crime, Flotsam, was given to a guy named Brody. Cool guy. We worked well together. Well, it's not a completely main role. It was really good for a first-year drama club kid. Oh, I forgot to talk about the people running drama club. That would be Mrs. B and G. Mrs. B had been the teacher for a really long time by that point and didn't really take any back talk. It was her last year, but I was really happy that I had her for it. She taught me so much in such a short amount of time and brought me from an absolute amateur to someone who at least knows somewhat of what she was doing. G is the music teacher and is pretty nice. I mean, he's scary, but he's helped me so much with my music that I can't think of enough because I've improved so much in a few years for the better because of him. Now that we have that down, let's get to the rehearsals. We worked a lot during the 2-ish hours twice a week for about 5 months. I learned actual acting and actual singing. Despite that, we still needed a lot of work by the time the performance actually came around. I would spend more time talking about the rehearsals, but I don't really remember much, and there wasn't really all that much to talk about. We ran lines time and time again, and we ran through songs again and again. The only thing that I could say is that I went home quite a few times because my anxiety was so bad I kept feeling sick. I was terrified when we actually had to go on to perform. There were so many last-minute changes, and my partner and I didn't really know our staging until a few days before. I'll admit our costumes were pretty cool. We were wearing completely black with a string of body-safe green lights wrapped in a green lacy kind of fabric. It was my favorite costume I've gotten to wear. I remember that we got the shell for Ursula a few days before, and I had to undo it from her neck in seconds on stage, and I screwed up pretty bad at least one night because people would tie it weird. I also remember Brody getting so distracted one night that he forgot to get off stage, and I had to come back on and get him off. Luckily, we weren't the main focus, so no one really noticed. We all had our screw-ups, but thank God, no one forgot their lines. This is important for the later plays. While it was terrifying, I enjoyed it so much. I felt accomplished. For the first time in years, I felt like I was doing something. We did have a cast party, but I didn't go because I didn't feel like I really belonged, and I do regret that a lot. I did go to the arts banquet where they gave out awards, and I got most flexible with Brody. Mrs. B said it was because we never complained about all the changes with our staging, but I think she was just really proud of her pun. That's about it for this play. Like I said, it is the most boring of the bunch, but I felt like it was necessary to talk about my first play, so yeah. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know if you want me to continue this series, or if you have an idea for a name for this series, if you have anything better than Storytime and such. I'm sure someone out there can come up with something better. I hope you all have a good day, night, or whatever time of day it is.